You're walking down a dark hallway, maybe to the bathroom, maybe to the kitchen for a glass of water. The house is asleep, and somewhere between one step and the next, the back of your neck goes cold. You're not alone. Someone is behind you. You can feel them, right there, close enough to reach out and touch you. You spin around fast, heart slamming against your ribs. Nothing, just the dark, just the empty hallway, the hum of the fridge, and your own breath coming a little too quick. You stand there feeling stupid. Of course there's no one there. There's never anyone there. But here's the thing. You felt it. You really felt it. Not a thought, not a worry. A presence. A weight in the air at your shoulder as real as a hand. And you felt it before, haven't you? In a parking garage, on a dark stairwell, in your own bedroom at 3 in the morning, lying perfectly still, certain that something is standing in the corner watching you. You're not crazy, you're not haunted, and tonight I'm going to tell you exactly what that feeling is, where it comes from, and why almost every single human being alive has felt it at least once. Because the truth is stranger than a ghost story. The thing standing behind you in the dark has a name. It's been with our species for hundreds of thousands of years, and by the end of this, you're going to understand why your brain would rather scare you half to death than let you take one wrong step in the dark. Stick around, because a little later, we're going to get to the worst version of this, the one that happens when you're lying in bed, awake but unable to move, and the shadow in the corner starts walking toward you. People in every culture on Earth have described that exact same figure, and the explanation for why is going to change the way you think about the dark forever. But let's start somewhere simpler. Let's start with you. Think about the last time it happened. Really think. You were probably alone. It was probably dark or close to it. And here's the part most people never notice. The feeling almost always comes from behind, not in front of you, behind, at your back, in the one direction you can't see. That's not random. Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. For now, just sit with how universal this is. Ask any person you know if they've ever felt watched in an empty room. Ask if they've ever hurried up the last few stairs of a dark basement, not walking, but climbing fast, like something was reaching for their ankles. Watch their face. They'll laugh, a little embarrassed, and then they'll say yes. Every time, yes. We don't talk about it much, because it feels childish. It feels like the kind of fear you were supposed to leave behind with the nightlight and the monster under the bed. But you didn't leave it behind. You just got better at ignoring it. The fear is still in there, fully grown, waiting for the lights to go out. So why would evolution build a feeling like this into us? A feeling that's wrong almost every single time. Think about it. In your entire life, how many times has there actually been a murderer standing behind you in the hallway? 0. Hopefully 0. And yet your brain keeps sounding the alarm, night after night, decade after decade, crying wolf in an empty house. That seems like a terrible design. A jumpy, paranoid brain that sees danger where there isn't any. You'd think a calmer brain would do better. A brain that didn't waste energy on false alarms. A brain that could walk through a dark forest without its heart pounding. And here's where it gets interesting. Because that calmer brain, it existed. Our ancestors came in every flavor. Some were jumpy, some were calm. Some startled at every snapping twig. Some shrugged it off and kept walking. And only one of those two kinds of people is your ancestor. Let me explain why, because this is the whole secret. Imagine you're a human being a very long time ago, tens of thousands of years back. You're walking through tall grass at dusk. The light is failing, and you hear a rustle behind you. Now that rustle could be two things. It could be the wind, or it could be a leopard. You don't have time to investigate. You have to guess. And there are only 2 ways to guess and 2 ways to be wrong. Guess number 1. You assume it's the wind. You relax. You keep strolling. If you're right, great. You saved a little energy and you didn't look foolish. But if you're wrong, if it really was a leopard, you are dead. That's it. Story over. Your genes go nowhere. Guess number 2. You assume it's a leopard. Your heart pounds. You spin around. You grab a rock. You get ready to run. If you're wrong, if it was just the wind, what did you lose? A few seconds. A little spike of adrenaline. You feel a bit silly, and then you walk on, alive. Look at those 2 columns. Look at the cost of being wrong on each side. Assume wind, be wrong, you die. Assume leopard, be wrong, you feel embarrassed for a moment. These are not equal mistakes. They are wildly, catastrophically unequal. And evolution does not care about your feelings or your dignity. Evolution only cares about who's still breathing tomorrow. So over thousands and thousands of years, the calm ones, the ones who assumed wind, kept dying just often enough. Not every time, just often enough. One bad guess in a dark field and their whole family line ends right there. And the jumpy ones, the ones who spun around at every shadow, kept living. They felt foolish 1,000 times, but they were alive to feel foolish. They had children. Those children inherited the same jumpy, twitchy, better safe than sorry alarm system. And those children had children, all the way down to you. You were the descendant of the nervous ones. Every single person in your family tree, going back further than you can imagine, was someone whose brain chose to believe in the leopard. The relaxed ones, the brave ones, the ones who didn't flinch at the dark. A lot of them simply didn't make it far enough to become anybody's ancestor. The predator that didn't pause and didn't bother to startle did not leave grandchildren. So that cold feeling on the back of your neck isn't a glitch. It's not weakness, it's a feature. It's possibly the most successful survival tool our species ever built. Scientists have a clunky name for it. They call it a hyperactive agency detection system. Don't worry about the words. Here's what it means in plain English. Your brain would much rather see a person who isn't there than miss a person who is. It's a smoke alarm, and a good smoke alarm goes off when you burn toast. It's annoying, it screams over nothing, but you keep it on the ceiling anyway, because the one time there's a real fire, that stupid screaming box saves your life. Your brain runs the same logic. Better 1,000 false alarms than one missed leopard. Now you know why the feeling exists, but that still doesn't explain how it works. Why does it feel so real? Why a presence, a shape, a person, instead of just a vague sense of unease? Why does your mind build a whole intruder out of nothing? For that, we have to talk about how you actually see in the dark. And what you're about to learn is that your eyes lie to you constantly. You just don't notice because they're usually lying in your favor. Here's a strange fact. Your sharp, detailed, full-color vision only exists in a tiny spot in the very center of your gaze, right where you're looking. Everything else, everything off to the sides, the whole edge of your vision is shockingly blurry. Low detail, almost no real color. Your brain just fills in the blanks so smoothly that you never catch it doing it. In bright daylight, that's fine. You point your sharp little spotlight at whatever matters. But in the dark, the spotlight barely works at all. The cells in your eye that handle fine detail and color basically shut down when the light is low. What's left is the edge stuff, the blurry, motion-sensitive, gray world of your peripheral vision. So at night, you are mostly seeing out of the corners of your eyes. And the corners of your eyes were never built to tell you what something is. They were built to scream that something moved. That's their whole job. Movement. Over there. Look now. They are an alarm, not a camera. This is why things seem to move in the dark when you're not looking straight at them. The coat on the door, the shadow of a plant, a pile of laundry on a chair. In your blurry side vision, your brain gets a vague, dim, shapeless smudge of information and just has to make a guess about what that smudge is. And remember the rule. Remember the leopard. When your brain is forced to guess in the dark, it does not guess shrub. It does not guess laundry. It guesses the most important thing it could possibly be. It guesses a face. It guesses a figure. It guesses a person. This is a real, well-documented thing, and you've experienced it 100 times in daylight without a shred of fear. It's called pareidolia. It's why you see a face on the front of a car. It's why you see a man in the moon. It's why a power outlet looks surprised and 2 windows on a door look like a smiling house. Your brain has a special, lightning-fast system devoted entirely to detecting faces. It is so eager, so hair-trigger, that it finds faces in clouds, in wood grain, in burnt toast, in the random texture of a popcorn ceiling. In the daylight, that's charming. You smile at the face on your car. But take that same face-finding machine, the most paranoid, over-eager pattern matcher in your whole head, and turn off the lights. Now it's not finding a friendly face in a coffee stain. Now it's working with almost no information at all, in a situation your body is flagged as dangerous, and it is desperately, urgently scanning the dark for the one pattern it cares about most, a person, a watcher, someone there. So that's the eyes. That's how the figure gets built. But now I want to show you something that doesn't need eyes at all, something stranger. Because here's a question that should bother you. Why does the feeling come from behind? You can't see behind you. Your eyes aren't even pointed that way. So why is that the direction that scares us most? This is where we go past the eyes and into something deeper, something that lives in the body itself. Your brain carries a kind of invisible map. A constant running sense of where your body is and where the space around your body is. The boundary of you. The reach of your arms. The zone just past your skin that you instinctively protect. You felt this map every time someone stood a little too close and your whole body tensed without you deciding anything. That's not your eyes, that's your brain's model of the space around you, and it has alarms wired all over it, especially in the back. The space behind you is the one place your senses can't cover. You can't see it. You can barely hear into it clearly. It's the blind spot of your entire life, and evolution does not like blind spots. So your brain treats the area behind your back as permanently suspicious, permanently under threat. It's running a little extra security in that zone at all times, even right now, even in a brightly lit room. You just don't notice until the lights go down and the security system gets nervous and starts reporting things. And under the right conditions, the brain can do something genuinely uncanny. It can generate the feeling of a body in that space. Not a sound, not a sight. The raw, gut-level certainty that a person is present, standing just out of view. Scientists who study this call it the sensed presence, or the feeling of a presence, and it is one of the most haunting tricks the human mind can play. Mountain climbers report it constantly. Exhausted, freezing, starved of oxygen, alone on a ridge, they suddenly become convinced that a silent companion is climbing beside them, walking with them, looking out for them. Some of them even talk to it. They share food with it. And then they get to safety, warm up, and the companion is gone. Because it was never there. It was their own brain conjuring a protector to get them through. People who have just lost someone they love feel it too. They walk into a room and they are absolutely certain for one heart-stopping second that their husband or their mother is sitting in the usual chair, not imagining it, feeling it. The presence arrives before the thought, and the grief comes a half-second later when the feeling collapses. So this is not just a fear thing. The brain can place a person in the empty space beside you out of grief, out of exhaustion, out of fear, out of pure isolation. It is a built-in human ability, and in the dark, alone, with your threat system already turned up to maximum, it points that ability straight at the blind spot behind your back, and it gives you a presence, a watcher, someone standing right there. Now, let me close that loop I opened at the beginning, because everything I've just told you, every system, the leopard logic, the blurry side vision, the face finder, the blind spot behind you, the brain's power to invent a presence out of nothing, all of it comes together in one specific, terrifying experience. And it happens to ordinary people, in their own beds, more often than you'd ever guess. It usually goes like this. You wake up in the middle of the night, or you think you wake up. Your eyes are open. You can see your room. But something is wrong. You can't move. Not a finger, not your head, nothing. Your body is a slab of stone. You try to call out, and no sound comes, and there is a crushing weight on your chest, like something heavy is sitting on you, pressing the air out. And then you become aware that you are not alone. There is a figure in the room, usually in a corner, or in the doorway, or right beside the bed. A dark shape, a shadow person, and it is looking at you. And as you lie there, frozen, unable to scream, the figure begins to move toward you. If you have ever experienced this, I need you to hear something clearly. You were not visited. You were not haunted. Nothing was in your room. What happened to you has a name, and it is completely scientifically understood. It's called sleep paralysis. Here's what's actually going on. When you dream, your body protects itself with a clever safety switch. It paralyzes you. It shuts off your muscles so that you don't physically act out your dreams. So you don't run and kick and punch while you're asleep in bed. Normally that paralysis switches off the instant before you wake up, and you never even know it was there. But sometimes the timing slips. Sometimes your mind wakes up first and switches the body back on a few seconds too late. So for a little while you are conscious, aware, eyes open in your real bedroom, but your body is still locked in dream paralysis. You genuinely cannot move. The weight on your chest is your own breathing, gone shallow and strange because the muscles aren't fully back online yet. And the figure? The watcher in the corner, that's the masterpiece. That's everything we've talked about tonight, all firing at once. Your threat detector is screaming because you're frozen and helpless, and your brain has decided, correctly by its ancient logic, that being unable to move is the single most dangerous situation a creature can be in. So it does what it always does under threat. It conjures the cause. It builds the predator. It generates a sensed presence in the room, points it at you, and your half-dreaming mind dresses it up in shadow and fills in a face. You are not seeing an intruder. You are watching your own survival system draw a monster in real time with no off switch, while you lie there unable to look away. And here is the part that should give you chills, the good kind. People have been describing this exact figure for thousands of years, all over the planet, in places that never met or shared a language. In one culture, it's an old hag who sits on your chest. In another, it's a demon that holds you down. In another, a witch, a shadow, a ghost, a creature of the night. Different names, different costumes, the same figure. The same dark shape, the same paralysis, the same crushing weight, the same approaching dread. Why? Because it isn't coming from any culture. It's coming from the hardware. It's coming from a brain that every human being shares, running the same ancient program in the dark. We didn't inherit the ghost story. We inherited the machine that generates it. And that machine has been carving the same shadow figure into human minds since long before we had a word for fear. So that's the worst of it. That's the bottom of the well. The thing in the corner, the watcher at your back, the leopard in the grass. All of it is one system, the most overprotective, paranoid, loving piece of equipment your ancestors ever handed down to you. And that word, loving, is not an accident. Because now I want to turn this whole thing around. Because there's a way to look at that fear that makes it almost unbearably beautiful. Think again about who you actually are. Not your name, not your job. What you are biologically. You are the latest link in a chain of survivors that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years without a single break. Sit with that, because we say it casually, but it's staggering. Not one of your ancestors died young. Not one of them died before having a child. Not a single one in an unbroken line reaching back through every famine, every winter, every predator, every dark and dangerous night for thousands of generations. Every link held. If even one had snapped, you would simply not be here. And how did they manage it? In a world with real leopards, real cliffs, real things in the dark that wanted to eat them, they managed it by being careful, by flinching, by spinning around at the rustle in the grass, by feeling that cold hand on the back of the neck and choosing, every time, to believe in the danger and live. That feeling you get in the dark hallway, that prickle of dread, that conviction that someone is behind you, that is not a flaw in you, it is them. It is your great-great-great-grandmother's caution, passed down through more years than you can hold in your head, still on duty, still watching your back. Quite literally watching your back. The fear is the inheritance. It's the gift they could give you across all that time. Be careful in the dark. Something out there used to hunt us. Don't forget. So the next time you're walking through a dark house and the back of your neck goes cold and you feel that presence behind you, you don't have to be ashamed of how fast your heart beats. You can turn around if you want. You'll find nothing there, the same as always. But maybe, just for a second, you can let yourself feel what's actually happening. There is no monster behind you. There never was. What's behind you is every single person who ever loved you enough to survive, so that one day you could exist. They are standing at your back, in the dark, the whole long line of them, doing the one thing they have always done, keeping you alive. And isn't it strange, when you think about it, how much of who you are was written long before you were born? You feel a presence in the dark because of leopards your ancestors ran from. You crave sugar and fat because of famines you'll never face. You feel safe staring into a fire because of nights none of us remember. You are carrying around a body full of instincts written for a world that's gone, and most of the time you have no idea they're even there, steering you, quietly, from the back of the room. So here's something to chew on before you go. The fear of the dark is just one of these old ghosts. There are dozens more living inside you right now, shaping what you want and what you dread, and who you fall in love with, and you never agreed to any of them. We've only pulled on one thread tonight, but that prickle in the back of your neck? Now you know its name. Now you know it's not a stranger. It's the oldest part of you, still keeping watch, still whispering the same thing it's whispered for 100,000 years. I've got you. Keep walking. I'll watch the dark.